just as a reminder. And then this is our organizational meeting, so we kind of got a packed agenda, plus we're covering all the remainder of last year and then the beginning of this year. Phone's going off. Telling me to walk, actually, this is telling me to walk. This is my reminder for myself.
To walk?
Tell Mel how to do that.
Oh, I need to start sending him texts like that.
Video unavailable.
Time to walk.
I don't know. Let me just make sure this is happening. Okay, we are live. That is working. The site is muted, so we should be good. Somebody give a wave. Dave's moving. We're good. Okay, we are live. So we'll go ahead and get started then. The meeting is called to order at 10:01. Craig, if you want to record that. And I'll just say that I'll read the open session statement. This meeting and all of the meetings this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of the meeting. Roll call will show that everyone is present. Friday, Surprise, Morak are all present. Everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the previous meeting, which was December 14th.
Make a motion to approve.
Second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion
We got to
carried.
do the agenda. Yeah, number 3, there is the agenda. Review. Oh, I apologize. Yes, I skipped over that. Thank you, Dave. Good eye. Agenda. Let's take a look at the agenda. Let's back up one. I apologize. How does the agenda look to everybody?
Mark moves to approve agenda as presented.
Craig, you got that?
All in
Right.
favor, aye. Aye.
And Craig's taking our notes for us today, so we'll go kind of at his pace. If we got to slow it down just a little bit for him.
Down just.
We got a nice little template for him, but he does have to find it just a little bit for him. Okay, point number 4 there. So let's go ahead and talk about that one real quick. Review and approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Again, that was December 14th, if you remember, from way back when. That would have been emailed to you ahead of time. So any questions on that? Okay. Let's go ahead and with a new motion on that if we could.
I make a motion to approve.
Randy moves.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Right. Got that, Craig?
Yes.
Wonderful. Public comment
Anybody
time.
here?
We're alone again, sadly. Public time offered, public comment time offered. Sadly, no one here.
Yeah, nobody likes us.
Okay. Point 6, for the first time in a while, we have appoint a chairperson. So here's what we've got. I'll just read it real quick, and I've got the paperwork here, and we'll kind of talk through how this should work. So as a secretary, I'll call for nominations. We'll close the nominations. We have a ballot created. It's gonna be pretty straightforward and simple. We'll cast the vote. I'll collect the ballot. I'll tabulate them. I'll announce the chairperson. We'll destroy the ballots. The way we'll do the nominations is basically I'll pass out the nominations. Everybody's name is listed in alphabetical order. Just ask that you circle who you want to nominate. You can nominate yourself and one other person. Fold it, hand it back to me. I will look at it. I will tabulate it. I will then pass out these voting ballots with whomever we have to vote from. So I'll scratch off, if we have to scratch off somebody's name, I'll scratch off somebody's name, and then you just vote. You get one vote. If they're in the event of some sort of tie, I'll cast the deciding vote, and then we will announce the new chair. if there is a new chair. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So here is the nomination. Right. Go on that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other nominations? Nobody?
Well,
I will collect the votes. Might take me a minute to tabulate.
so many people in here.
Calculating numbers flying at me. Okay, by unanimous vote, I announce Brandy Surprise once again as
Thank
our
you.
chair. Congratulations, Madam Chair. All right.
Next time I'll bring wine.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Cheese tray.
okay. All right, so then we're at point 7. CVSO update. So update discussion, we do have, I wanted to make mention, we do have coming up on the 21st, the Veteran Coalition meeting, which is, we've been making efforts to reboot that since COVID has ended, and we're kind of changing that up a little bit. We've been meeting kind of quarterly before COVID. We're going to go to 2 meetings per year. We're going to do a spring and a fall. And we're going to put a little bit more effort into making that a little bit more comfortable, a little more informative. And we're going to move out to the Par 4 Resort, have some light refreshments, and we're going to try to bring in guest speakers from, this time around, we're going to bring in a guest speaker from the Zablocki VA Medical Center, who's going to talk about VA healthcare and community care. It's a very kind of complex benefit that a lot of people tend to have a lot of questions about. And there's a lot of kind of interoperability issues and questions about other healthcare and Medicare and things like that.
So
So,
with Zablocki, I mean, that's like
yeah,
it's,
kind of a big deal. So,
Yeah.
and they're kind of the ones that everything funnels through anyway. So we're hoping to get, and again, the coalition is kind of it's kind of like the other counties call it Commanders Council.
Who's coming?
So it's a administrative, like a senior administrative supervisor for Zablocki's Community Care Center. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so she's I don't know how many of these she's done, but I reached out to her and said, is there anybody that in the area that's, in your office that's willing to do this? And she passed it up to her supervisor and she said that she's willing to do
you know,
it.
the community care is big because I use it.
Yeah,
You know, I
A lot
use
of
it
people do.
for surgery and all that, just because it's, instead of driving all the way to Milwaukee, if you can have your own doctor, your specialist here and they prove it's so much
It's
easier.
great if everything works. the way-
Yes, and everything works the way it's supposed to. You're very correct on that. Sometimes
But if it does not,
Yes.
we've had a handful of veterans have some issues.
the missing the phone calls and
Sure.
we did call and then they shut that.
Down.
Or, not
Yeah.
understanding, something that they're being seen for is service connected and not getting.
Yep.
paid, and it's.
So
Yep,
y'all
you're
would
very right.
be invited to that. It's also open up to the veteran service organizations representatives to send it. Again, these counties call this a Commanders Council. We call it a Veteran Coalition. The idea is to, instead of me trying to go around to 30 different veteran service organizations, 7 times a month and meet, with all these different meetings. I try to a couple times a year invite all of the representatives to come. to
Is that what
meetings.
you were doing, like that much monthly going? Boom, boom, boom,
Well, I
boom,
mean,
boom?
so we've done it in the past. It's, in terms of going to these different meetings, we've done the American Legion County Council meeting to try to hit as many commanders as possible. It's just not possible. It's not feasible to, in the past, like John Ladani.
Mhm.
I don't know, I can't speak to if he was membership or not of some of these different places. Some CVSOs have been members of these different local organizations. I think that's maybe a little too far,
Yeah, I
you know,
think,
going to the meetings.
Rest has sold one right before you for life. I can't pull his name out of the air. He
Wayne
passed-
Knudsen?
Yes,
Mhm.
Wayne was, yes. He was like a member of some of those.
Oh, he was yeah, I think he was a member of the VFW and the Legion and things like that. Now, I'm a life member of all of them, but I'm at large. So I don't go to the meetings,
Okay.
but you know, and that's the other thing too. It gets awkward, you know, they want to, well, we'll buy your membership. No, we can't do that. We can't exchange any, you know, we
Mhm.
can't. So, and then there's, you know, the question, why aren't you a member of all this? Well, I went ahead and dealt with all that. And so I'm a life member out of my own pocket years ago. So, of all of them, but I don't attend the meetings and I try to keep in contact with, you know, at least the commanders and things like that, and at least make some appearances at a few if I can, but you know, to try to get to all of them monthly is just not feasible, so. That's the idea of this, is to kind of offer an alternative for that. If the membership, they can, you know, commanders can come themselves or send representatives.
That's awesome.
Then they can come to meetings like this and they have access to us, and access to some of these guest speakers that we bring in, so. That, it's pretty cool that Milwaukee's willing to come up and do this. It's hard to. When you're putting something like this together, we always get a little bit of flack, like, well, why don't you do it on a Saturday? Why don't you do it after hours? Well, so this person who's coming up is a federal government employee. She works for the US Department of Veterans Affairs right at Zablocki. They don't generally authorize travel pay, like she won't have a travel pay budget because her job title isn't outreach. Her job title is, so she's stepping away from her daily activity to come out and support this. So she does not have a budget to support what she's doing. Her supervisor is basically kind of being flexible and forward thinking.
Mhm.
And just absorbing the extra work that this is going to create for them, and also agreeing that basically I don't know what they're gonna look like in terms of reimbursing her for her travel, for her, you know, mileage, for her meals, for, you know, she can't be paid overtime for this. So I mean, like, so some of this is gonna be, that's why we can't do these things on weekends or after hours and things like that. There's just, when I get a subject matter expert like her, and there's just no way
Yeah,
to do that. I can get an outreach expert who has no idea about those things and can hand out pamphlets and say, you should talk to that expert during
Yeah.
business hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
during business hours,
During
yeah.
business hours, but you know, you see what I'm saying, so it's very difficult to, so this is really cool because I was able to talk with this person and say, Kim, like, I'll work with you on the time. I know you don't have a travel budget. I know we can't, you know, you don't have per diem and all this other stuff. We can, well, if we do it at 1 o'clock on a Thursday and my supervisor agrees, we can make it happen. Okay, great, let's do it.
There you go.
So, you know, as long as we can work that way, you know, we can get people like that to come up and support and do that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool, but. So that's one thing that's coming up that's pretty cool. And in the fall, we'll have another one and it'll be similar to that, but we'll have another speaker. Probably on a slightly different topic. So that's what's going on there. Then kind of the next thing, so 2025 Golf for Veterans Outing Fundraiser. And eventually I'll be calling for some action on this, but you saw the flyer, you got the flyer. So what this is about is I was approached by Russ Reeves out at the Par Four Resort. He's the golf manager out there. And a veteran himself, and he said, hey, we do a lot of these events and fundraisers and stuff. And he's like, I'd like to give back to the veteran community, I'd like to have a veteran event. What do you think about that? And I said, well, you know, they're pretty popular. They have Mountain the Valley, things like that. In fact, I just got an email on one. They're doing a golf outing for the Dream Flights program up in the northern part of the county. They're going to do one to support that program. We talked about doing one this year. That just wasn't gonna work. The time frame was too tight and I just wasn't comfortable with kind of how it was shaping up. So I said, well, let's plan for 2025 and let me bring it forward and get some other eyes on it. So I'm bringing it to you guys first. My plan is to bring it to finance, to brief the board, to involve it into a bigger discussion, but I'm interested in pursuing this as a fund, creating a fund. So we have several, we accept donations. We accept tax-free donations as a government entity to support veterans in need. We have this fund, which is tax-based derived, meaning that this is supported by tax funds. This is what you oversee here for the emergency grant fund. And then we also have a donation fund that we can utilize to help veterans in need, and we do. That is different.
That's what you usually use if we run out of money at the end of the
Yes.
year, correct?
That helps us offset, so I don't have to go to the county board. See, by statute, if we run out of money, which we did last year, and we could talk about that more, we ran out of, we had carryover from the year prior, so we had about $9,000, a little over $9,000 last year. We expended all of it. You know, as we'll see later in the agenda here at 9A, we ended the year, or 9B rather, the available relief balance as of 12/31 was zero. You know, we expended all of the funds. So had something come in between 12/5 and 12/31, we would have been utilizing the other fund,
Okay.
you know, to try to cover that. So, or having to go to the board and asking for more funds to cover that. So, that's why that fund exists, but it also exists for funds that, or requests that kind of fall outside of this category too, but, and it's a smaller fund, but, we have unnamed, or I guess we have named but unutilized accounts that we could just rename and repurpose for this, which would be called the Veteran Service Support Fund. So we could fund that, rename it, fund it through this, and then kind of incorporate the existing emergency funds that we've already collected into that, and we would have kind of a contingency pool of emergency donated funds where we could do some bigger things, furnace replacement. You know, it's not a year goes by where somebody doesn't call and say, my furnace went out, I need some immediate help. And that request often goes to CAP services or goes to another entity where multiple streams come together to help that person, or other charities, or there's sometimes they go unmet, you know, I mean, there's a lot of options, a lot of outcomes in some of those things, but that's just one example. But there's roof repairs that get very expensive, things like that. That just exceed the capability of this program, but the needs are out there. So, what I would be looking for is any questions. I'd love to answer them, and then eventually I would love a vote to either support it. But if you guys say, no, this is a bad idea, we'll kill it now. But if you think this is a good idea and you support it, I'd love a vote to proceed. Or
Make a
continue.
motion to vote on it.
I'll second it.
All right, who's in favor of it?
Aye.
Okay, I'm not a golfer because I'm not, but I know a lot of people are and they love it. I mean, I love driving the
I'll
golf.
say I love-
That is where I golf right there. That's with a glass in my hand. That's my golfing, so.
Good time to go.
Right, so motion carried, go ahead and pursue it.
All right, we'll keep going. I'll probably bring it to finance committee then, pretty soon here, and then I'll talk about it and brief everybody, and we'll keep her moving forward then.
What amount of funds would we be asking for finance?
I wouldn't be asking for finance, I'd just be letting you guys know about it, and just if you have any questions on what it would look like, or why we're doing it, or if you hear about it, or, why does the county get involved in fundraising for this?
That has been an issue in the past. I mean,
Yep.
we've turned down some.
Do you have any ideas how you're gonna fundraise?
Yeah, so, working with Russ, when you do like a golf out, I've never done golf outing either, I'm not a big golfer either. Apparently the big thing is you look at sponsorships. So like, let's say you have a sponsor and it's $1,000 sponsor or something like that. They sponsor a hole or sponsor the lunch or sponsor something like that, they write the check.
Okay.
That then the finance committee will want them to know about that is that our policy is that any donation that comes to us is that brought to resolution and brought to the board to accept that money. And so I
And
would
turn it over to you guys.
and turn it over to us.
Now,
And-
then would you like I'm a bowler, like a bowling tournament, you have to pay $35,
Yep.
for blah, 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 blah. Now, would the golfers have to say for your cost would be this, however, everything else was donated?
Right. So they work with the golf course on their registration fee and things like that. It's an online thing. It's like $500 or $550 per foursome or fivesome, however Russ does it.
Yeah, I think it's like $500
Mhm.
per foursome, and then that foursome would be assigned a celebrity golfer.
Right.
Which could be anything from a hockey player to political,
Yeah.
local celebrity, something like that. So that would
Apparently there's
kind of be the
fun in golf.
interest in
Who
it.
knew?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that Russ has probably done it.
Russ has done a number of these, the thing about any type of fundraising event like this is transparency and being, in an event that costs X amount of money and there's a nonprofit involved and there's money left over, how much does it cost? How much money is left over in the end and how are the people being helped? And that's what we're really concerned about is we don't want it to cost, I'm just throwing numbers out, but I don't want it to cost $20,000 and we only raise $1,000. That would be very
Yeah.
sad, because then that's the same thing that like Wounded Warriors and all these other things ran into. It's like, well, less than $1, less than, 90 cents of every dollar I'm donating goes to overhead. It's not
Yeah.
even going to helping veterans. It's not,
Of course.
it's going to go for. So we need to know that the margin is gonna make sense to be able to help veterans in the community. So it's gotta make sense.
So then you gotta bring that to the board
Mm-hmm.
and they have to prove that, okay, we're gonna let you do this.
Well,
You
they
give
gotta
them the money.
understand and be aware of what this is gonna look like, and also that, the county's gonna be using his tax exempt status for this, and then also, basically that we're gonna be receiving a lot of sponsorship checks that I'm gonna bring to the board to, put into this account.
Oh,
And then expenditures from this account are gonna go to help veterans, And of course, oversight for this account and things like that, would be something that maybe that's something this committee wants to take on. We not only have a meeting like this, but then we adjourn and have another meeting after that where we just do business related to that, to the golf outing funds. So something to think about. We have a little bit of time, but if at any time we're not comfortable doing it, I need to know so that I can let.
do you have an idea when you
Yeah.
wanna do it, like?
Yeah.
I don't even know when
Yeah.
golf starts, so.
Yeah, if we're,
Is it-
June 9th,
June?
is what the tentative date is, what we have kind of pinned on the calendar. Ideally, when you're looking at like a fundraising cycle, because ideally what we're looking at doing is, like, if we weren't a government entity, if you're a nonprofit, like 501c3, and you're gonna do a fundraising event like this for suicide prevention or whatever your nonprofit issue is,
Mhm.
ending homelessness. You're gonna enter your fundraising cycle ahead of the budgetary cycle so that whomever your donors are gonna be as a foundation or whatever, you're gonna enter that cycle so that they can plan for those checks. We're looking at a sponsorship level, top tier level at $10,000. So I mean, somebody to write a $10,000 check, they gotta know
Yeah,
in September that they're gonna write it
Yeah.
for June or January or February. But the idea being that, again, these bigger, if we're talking a Foundry, or if you're talking Gusmer, if you're talking Myron Construction, or you're talking these bigger entities, they have funds available for donation to offset tax liability and for your CPA, you understand that if you don't give it to a charity in your community, you're gonna give it to the federal government.
Exactly.
So you might as well
I
purchase,
didn't know that.
right, so you might as well purchase goodwill in your community for $10,000 rather than give it to the federal government for
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, who wants to,
So,
And the veterans, I mean, as soon as you mentioned veterans.
Right.
A lot of these organizations are kind of headed by veterans or they want to contribute to the veterans somehow. So I see us gaining a lot of support there.
and at the end of the day, I want to be really transparent with it, and I want it to be a good program. And like I said, my biggest concern and hesitation with it is that it's got to make financial sense in terms of I can't have it cost $20,000 to put the program on and get $1,000 to give to a veteran in need.
Yeah.
It can't work like that. So it's gotta be a good return so we can actually help some veterans with things that they need, replace a roof,
yeah.
help them out with a critical car.
Is that how you're
repair.
planning on doing it? Instead of just saying, here's 10,000 or whatever to the veteran, you're using it to, if you
Yeah.
need a new roof, we will
Yeah.
write the check to the roofing company. It's kind of like we do here.
Super important to do that, I think, it's just,
Then just hand over check only.
yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
You have a long line.
Yeah, I mean, track chairs or even like, that's the other thing too, is that there's a lot of opportunities, locally, we have another nonprofit, there's just a lot of things we could talk about, but, there's other nonprofits we could help support, if somebody. We have the mobility for vets down the road, if they needed a piece of equipment or a tool or something that they couldn't. Those guys, and that nonprofit is amazing, they've helped so many veterans in this community. To help them, to help the honor flight, to help,
Yeah.
there's so many things that we could work with and help. There's just a lot of opportunity there, but it's something we would want to talk about, and I wouldn't want to make the decision. I'd want somebody,
Yeah.
I would want a group to vote on. So,
Cool.
so.
I think it's a really good idea.
Well, good. It's gonna be a lot of work, and it will be interesting to see how it all goes, but yeah, I'm excited to kind of explore the idea anyway and keep it moving forward, but. Okay, wonderful. The 0.8 there, next meeting, June 2024. Does anybody have a preference on date?
There's one day in June and
Thursdays work good for me.
June. The only one that doesn't work for me is the 20th. So we need the 6th, 13th, or 27th is good for me.
I cannot do the 13th.
Okay, so the 6th or the 27th. Jesse, what's good for you?
Oh, yeah, let's take a look here.
That's already in June.
Getting there. Well. Well,
If not, we can always move it into July if we have to.
yeah. The sixth might be better. Sixth, let me just double check. Let me click into there. I don't see anything on the sixth right now. Let's
Okay.
tentatively
Dave, are
do.
you good on the
Yes,
sixth?
yeah.
All right, tentatively for the sixth then. If anything comes up, just let us know.
Okay, we'll do. I think we should be all right. All right, Ted. All right, Ted. With that,
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I will go ahead and read this, motion here. Motion to go to section pursuant to Wisconsin. Section 19.85, sub 1, sub F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems.
Are we still live?
Yeah, I just gotta read
Okay.
this. Or the investigation of charges against specific persons, except where para B applies, which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data involved in such problems or investigations, to discuss and approve the Veteran Service Commission grant applications and Service Commission budget and disbursement reports for the periods indicated below. And you recorded the vote?
Yes.
All right, I will go ahead and turn off the live screen.